The Life and Times of Queen Elizabeth II by Pearson Phillips. The Lilibet years, 1926 to 1937. No one really believed that the baby girl who arrived in the early hours of the 21st of April, 1926, would ever become queen. Even her birthplace was hardly regal, a fourth-floor back-facing nursery at number 17, Bruton Street, Mayfair. Her mother knew it well. It was where she'd spent some of her own childhood. For while the Duke and Duchess of York were waiting for their London home to be properly prepared, they were camping out in the townhouse of her family, the Bowes-Lyons, Earls of Strathmore, also of Glamis Castle, Scotland and St. Paul's, Waldenbury, Hertfordshire. True, the newcomer was a royal princess who was technically third in line to the throne, but her vigorous and glamorous Uncle David, later Edward VIII, would marry and have plenty of children of his own, wouldn't he? Anyway, her father Bertie, later George VI, is sure to have a son and heir sometime. So ran the general thinking, although there were people in the know who privately doubted whether there would be many more babies for the little Duchess of York. It had been a difficult birth. The 4 doctors in attendance decided on what was officially announced as a certain line of treatment, which was a polite way of saying that it was a caesarean. In the 1920s, this was not quite the straightforward medical procedure that it is today. "Such a relief and joy," wrote the baby's grandmother, Queen Mary, in her diary. A crowd gathered among the whispering Daimlers of Bruton Street to watch the comings and goings. King George V and Queen Mary were among the early visitors. The Duke was afraid that his father might have preferred a grandson, but claimed that he was absolutely delighted to have a daughter. Having taken a look at her, everyone felt the same way. She was, wrote Queen Mary, a little darling with lovely complexion and pretty fair hair. After being absolutely delighted to have a second daughter 4 years later, Princess Margaret Rose, the Duke and Duchess gave up any further attempts to provide the realm with a possible future king. Princess Elizabeth was no more than 2 weeks old before the whole framework of the British Constitution and the future of the monarchy seemed to be in jeopardy. The general strike, called by the TUC after talks between the miners' leaders and the coal owners had broken down, began at midnight on the 3rd of May. As the workers took to the streets, Britain prepared itself for an all-out industrial war. The sentries outside Buckingham Palace exchanged their ceremonial red tunics for businesslike khaki, as though they were about to defend George V from a proletarian mob surging down the Mall. A force of 50,000 volunteer special constables was sworn in. There was nervous talk about the bogies of anarchy and Bolshevism, which had traditionally used the weapon of the general strike as a prelude to revolution. However, Britain in 1926 was not Russia in 1918 or Italy or Spain. After 6 days, the TUC called off the strike, though the miners carried on their struggle for not a penny off the pay, not a minute on the day, until hunger